Hi, folks. My name is Girish, Bali, the host for Back to Basics, another Back to Basics for another week for season 3. Today, we're going to speak with Catherine Chadwick, and we're going to find out what is mindfulness and what is psychology, and why is that mixed together for her. We're going to find out the details about that. But there's one thing that you should keep in mind. We're talking about carving your life in a better way, in a fruitful way, in an artful way. Because we do need to blossom into a great world that we live in. And this is the person that I want to bring in and chat with her about this. So let's speak with Catherine and let's find out who she is and what she is and why she is on Back to Basics. So let's chat with her. Hi, folks. My name is Girish Bali, the host for Back to Basics. As I said earlier on my introduction, we are going to be speaking with Catherine, and we're going to talk about life, mindfulness. And that's what I said earlier in my introduction. But how crazy is our world that how do we carve ourselves? How do we decorate ourselves? And that's what the life is all about, isn't it? And we're going to go and talk to Catherine and find out, as I said earlier, who she is and what she is and why is she all about. So why don't we just talk to her and chat with her and get to know her better. Catherine, how are you? Thanks for coming to Back to Basics.
I'm very well, Girish, and thanks so much for having me. I really appreciate being here. This is going to be fun.
Thank you. Thank you again for coming here. We were chit-chatting right before the recording, and I think I had a greatest time for those few minutes. So thank you again for being here and supporting me.
Thank you.
So before we talk about who you are and the topic for today,
Mhm.
what does back to basic mean to you?
Back to basic for me means coming to myself
Hmm.
and really being connected with me. Because if I understand my connection with myself, then it's so much easier
Hmm.
to
Yes.
communicate with everyone else, right?
Yeah. 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 Thank you. Thank you again for that, and thank you for being a sport. So, Catherine, let me ask you this: how difficult is it to create your own life and carve your life in a beautiful or maybe an ugly way? Because there are many different ways of carving your life, right? So, how do
Oh,
we do that?
well, we're all a part of nature. And
Mm,
when you look at how, nature operates, it's those universal laws and energy principles are really very straightforward. When you think about gravity and electricity, they work the same all the time. And all of these energy principles and universal laws are the same. And since we are a part of this universal energy, we're all connected with this
mm,
energy. So if we understand the principles and the universal laws, then things are very straightforward. And I
mm,
think that we overcomplicate things as
mm,
far as creating a life.
mm,
Our thoughts really dictate how we operate.
mm,
And it's that body, mind, spirit connection that is so prevalent. And what I believe is really the ticket. I call it knowing the rules of the game,
mm,
and that it's so important to understand that how you talk to yourself makes a big difference,
mm,
because you can talk yourself into a wonderful life or you can talk yourself into a miserable life.
mm,
I call it the mind diet,
mm,
because what you feed your mind dictates how you operate.
mm, mm. Wow. So, can you thank you so much for that, by the way, Catherine. But when you say mind diet, can you explain and dissect that? And what does that mean?
Well, people understand the term diet, right? The
Right.
nutritional diet, what
Right.
you feed your body, nourishes your body or it doesn't, depending on what your choice is, right? And so it's important to know that. And the mind is, pretty much the same, because what you talk to yourself and how you talk to yourself dictates your thoughts, your words, and your words dictate your behavior. And so your thoughts are actually dictating your life. When you talk about, the RAS, the reticular activating system, as part of the brainstem, and that in a simplistic explanation, the RAS is always filtering out. I mean, information is coming to us constantly,
Hmm.
and the RAS is filtering out information that we're not focused on, that we're not thinking about, unless, of course, it's the big, oncoming train that's coming quickly. You do focus on that, but typically, during the course of a day, the RAS is on the lookout for what you're thinking about.
Hmm.
And so that's the information that comes in. The RAS also works with the brain to predict what it's going to look for. So
Hmm.
you can see how this loop of thinking starts and keeps going. And
Hmm.
so if you are not cognizant of that and don't make the choice to make the change for what it is that you want to look for and how you want to operate,
Hmm.
then you're just typically going to move forward, on that old pattern. The
Hmm.
research shows that we think between 60 and 70,000 thoughts in one day, and about 90% of those are the same as the day before, and the day before, and the day before. So pretty much everybody is dragging all these yesterdays around with them, and all of that leads to beliefs. And I believe that many of us have been working with old beliefs that we never have really evaluated. They're what I call acceptance of belief without evaluation.
Hmm.
And some of these have been handed down from generation to generation to generation.
Hmm.
And some of these things we have developed on our own. But have we really evaluated them? Have we really taken a good look at them to see if they're actually serving us?
But Catherine, thank you again for that. And I think, how many overthinkings do we do per day? You said.
The research shows that we think between 60,000 and 70,000 thoughts in one day. And about 90% of those are the same as the day before, and the day before, and the day before.
But Catherine, the reason why I asked that question, and that's a big number, right? So, but sometimes we don't think in a positive way. We also think negatively also.
Mhm.
So how do we restructure our brain or thought process or energy into the positive side?
It's it's a choice. Because the primitive brain is the negative default.
Hmm.
The hypervigilant, always looking out for the danger. What's going to happen next,
Hmm.
and so that is the negative default.
Hmm.
And so to counteract that and to work with that, you're never going to eliminate it because that's part of our survival skill.
Hmm.
However, you can make the choice to choose positive thoughts. You
Hmm.
may have seen that balance scale illustration
Hmm.
where the negative thought on the balance scale is a big rock. And in order to counteract that, the other side is, you put a feather on, and it takes a lot of feathers to balance that out, right? And so it's conscious effort, it's choice, and it's persistence. You
Hmm.
definitely have to make the choice. I believe it's important to, once you've made that solid decision, it's so much easier
Hmm.
to then work with your intentions. And I believe that a gratitude practice and also writing down your intentions for the day are really valuable exercises,
Hmm.
because once you have these things in front of you, you've written them down, you've made the decision that this is, today I intend to be discerning.
Hmm.
Today I am courageous. Today I am kind, or, whatever it is that's on your list
Hmm.
for the day. It's so much easier to move through the day. And of course, you've planted that seed, and you've taken that in your mind diet, you've added that seed for the day, so now the RAS is actually more in tune to
Hmm.
be looking and on the lookout for opportunities where you can exercise these intentions.
Hmm. Yeah, thank you again for that. You know, let's say, Catherine, you and I got into an argument,
Mhm.
and now there's a negative vibe between both of us, right? But do I have a choice to not confront you, or should I back off, or do I overthink over and over again, and then my health is not going to be good, right? Because I'm thinking over and over again.
I,
So, so what are your thoughts on that part?
I think it's very important to have those difficult conversations, and they're not always easy.
Hmm.
Um, but if you're angry with me and I'm angry with you, I'm going to become curious. I work with people and encourage them to develop an outside perspective of themselves from the curious observer. And if you're curious about something, you're not necessarily so judgmental.
Hmm.
And I believe that if you're angry with me, I want to know why. I'm curious as to why you're angry with me because I don't know as I really have processed or understand what all of the issue is. Because, and also, there are about as many different perspectives on the planet as there are people. So it's
That's right.
very easy to get into disagreements.
Hmm.
And if you relate to me what you're angry about, it would serve me and you very well to validate you and say, wow, now that you are telling me what you're feeling, I
Hmm.
can understand why you're feeling that way. Or I might not understand it. And I might say, I appreciate where you're coming from. I don't quite understand it yet. Could you tell me a little bit more?
Hmm.
And I think it's important to keep keep that volley going. And it doesn't have to be a nasty volley, right?
Hmm.
You can make the choice going into it that, gosh, I really have a lot of respect for this person or I have a lot of love for this person. And I'm not sure what the difficulty is, but this isn't working as far as us being angry with each other. So let's kind of dissect this and
Hmm.
see what's going on.
But thank you so much for that. But do you think that's going to be the same answer for, let's say, an acquaintance, a friend, and a family? Because I think family, I think, gets a little shaky and tricky, right? Because friends are kind of easier versus family. So, do
Mhm.
you think that's the same answer that you're going to give, or a little differently?
I always encourage people to have the tough conversations
Hmm.
because what happens is, the natural course of the energy is an upward spiral. Things are always changing.
Hmm.
And it's when you resist that change that people get sick. I mean, over 90% of human health conditions and illnesses are lifestyle induced.
Hmm.
And that's a lot of resistance.
Hmm.
And I think that you're right. Families are a bit tricky. And I think it's important to be as open as possible and to understand that people change and expand and their interests change and at different rates. We don't all evolve at the same rate.
Hmm.
And so that's why I think it's so important for everyone to really have an understanding of how the universal energy and what fuels us actually, how it works.
Hmm.
And I think that that is part of the issue with many people is that they're very in tune with their emotions
Hmm.
and not willing to look at it from the point of the curious observer.
Hmm.
Because when you think things, of course, your thoughts influence how you feel about things, and your body's reaction with the feeling is, this chemical cocktail, the reactions.
Hmm.
And people get accustomed to that, and it's a habit.
Hmm.
And I think being open, being educated as far as how the universe operates, how we operate in it and within it, it is extremely important. I mean, when you think about thinking those same thoughts over and over and over, it's very easy to keep, saying, Aunt Jane, I just can't believe she just keeps doing that over and over and over. But you're the one that's sitting there and
That's
being
right. That's right.
over and over and over. So,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, so thank you again for Catherine for explaining that, because there's a lot of people who are kind of on the same page as what we're talking about today,
yeah.
and it's very tough to talk about certain sensitive issues. I mean, it could be educational, finance, death in the family. It could be anything. So thank you again for explaining that.
Yeah.
Catherine, let me ask you this. What is a proper routine for people um, to ignite themselves or motivate themselves by living in negativity pretty much every day?
You mean how to remove themselves from that?
Exactly. How do we do that? How do we come out of that track and go to a different track? Not that track is bad. It's just it needs a little diversion sometimes.
Hmm. Right. It's important to do an evaluation and understand, what when you think about different aspects of your life, what do you feel good about? And what do you not feel good about? Or do you feel expansive about portions of it? Or do you feel contractive? Right. And everybody, dissatisfaction is a huge impetus to making a change, right?
Hmm.
And so, but in order to make the change, you have to make the decision to make the change. It's very much like, going for a walk. If you're going to go for a walk, you've decided to go for a walk and you take the first step.
Hmm.
And changes typically happen in small steps at a time.
Hmm.
And it's very much like taking the walk. It's one step after another, one step after another. And if you find that you're not going in the direction that you want, you have the option to change your mind,
Hmm.
because new information is coming to us all the time. And as we evolve and as we expand, we're exposed to more information, which is going to influence our decision, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
And so just because you decided to, walk up the mountain and you got partway up there and it isn't where you are feeling good about going, you
Hmm.
have the option to go back down. Maybe you really wanted to go to the ocean instead. And so,
That's right. That's right. Yeah.
right.
Catherine, thank you again for that. And before we start our new segment for season 3, which is the rapid fire round and really quick questions, and there's some words and sentences which whatever comes in your mind whenever I say those words and sentences.
Okay.
But before we do that, I just want to ask you one quick question. What does sunshine mean to you? Because I think we don't say that enough, do we, in this world? And sunshine kind of means in many many different ways. So can you explain what does that mean to you?
Well, to me, it means the sunshine quotient, right? And that's a term that refers to lighting gradients in photography and radiology. And I've applied it to people because we each have our own level of radiance.
Hmm.
We're light beings to begin with, right? And when you think about everybody having their own level of vibration, the higher your vibration, the brighter you are. Your radiance is your calling card in this life. It's the first thing that people notice about you when you're heading in their direction. So sunshine for me means radiance. It means vibration. It means fuel.
Yeah, thank you again for uh answering that question. So let me start this rapid fire round whenever you are ready. Are you ready?
Why not?
Well, okay, so here's a rapid fire. Here's some words for you and some sentences. Nature.
Pardon?
Nature.
Nature? Water.
Laws.
Universal.
Gravity.
Falling.
Principles.
Standards.
Mind. Diet.
What you feed your mind dictates how you operate.
Focus.
Essential.
Thinking.
We're doing that right now.
Overthinking.
Ah, that's the rabbit hole.
uh, Focus.
Direct.
Balance of life.
Is a bit of a fallacy because there is a balance, yet the balance is always in flux.
Mm. Spiral.
Upward. Universal energy.
Catherine,
She's pretty fun.
back to basics.
That's the important part, to not overcomplicate things.
Hmm. Thank you. Thank you so much for being a sport, for playing this rapid fire round that I have for season 3. You know, Catherine, let me ask you this. Is there a book that you are reading related to what we're talking about today, or even something separate? Could be really fun or anything like that, which I think I want to know what you're interested in today and what you're reading today as of right now.
Well, I'm picking up parts of things. Pardon me. It was Barbara Fredrickson's work that really made me believe that the sunshine quotient was a viable project for me.
Mm,
And so that's why I have been developing that. And her book Positivity is a wonderful book. I would absolutely recommend that. I use a lot of Dr. Joe Dispenza's research and Dr. Bruce Lipton's research in my work with people. And so I have the Bruce Lipton's book, The Biology of Belief. I would recommend that.
mm,
And I have been picking up pieces of Dr. Joe Dispenza's book, Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself.
mm, mm. Thank you so much, Catherine. You know, I'm gonna go and pick one of those books, and I think the biology one that you just mentioned. I think I'm gonna pick that one and see how does that change my life and how does that change my thought process too.
Mhm.
With your help, I think I'm gonna go and pick your brain sometimes whenever that, if that's possible with you.
It's in fact, I pulled it out just the other day. This is the book.
Oh, nice, nice, nice. Yes, I think I'm gonna go and get that book too. Thank you.
Hmm. Yeah.
You know, Catherine, thank you again for being here. So, can we explain to people what is your business and what do you do and what is your foundation is all about? Because you know, when I found out who you are, I was quite amazed at what you have done. Can you explain that to everyone?
Well, it's been a process, right? As we all go through. I'm a nurse by profession, and so I have over 40 years of experience as a registered nurse. I call myself a mental fitness trainer because I do have a third degree black belt ranking in traditional Japanese karate. So I absolutely understand training and the discipline that's required in training. And it's very much about making the decision to do that, right?
Mm,
And so I do have a certification as a life mastery consultant, which is a nice, wonderful name for a transformational coach. I'm a practitioner of applied positive psychology. I also just finished a short study in positive intelligence, which is, certainly related to the applied positive psychology. But that has been my progression, and my passion really is working with people to teach them about universal laws and energy principles and how we operate within this energy world, because I honestly believe that it is the rules of the game.
mm,
And no one was talking to me about any of this when I was growing up. And I imagine it's the same for many.
mm,
And it makes a huge difference. And I believe it absolutely, how we think affects our health and
mm,
affects our whole quality of life. So I think it's just important to me that I reach as many people as possible to, be able to share this information. And also, I work as a guide, really. In fact,
mm,
I think I'm more of a teacher and a guide.
mm, thank you again, Catherine, for explaining that, and thank you again for being here. You know, you have supported me from day one when you and I connected,
Mhm.
and now you're here in season 3, and we're just gonna go with a bang, aren't we? And I think 2023 is gonna be an awesome year for both of us.
Yeah. Hmm.
So, Catherine, before you leave today, do you have any last words to Back to Basic listeners and viewers? And how is your journey on Back to Basics too? On top of that.
Well, I think that people also, it's important that they know about, the polarity, right? Because there's polarity in everything, and it works like a battery. Like, meaning it's not good or bad, positive or negative. It's not good or bad. It's positive and negative energy. And so I think it's extremely important for people to understand that the law of attraction is a sub law of the law of vibration. And the desire of what it is that you want has a positive charge to it. And you also need the negative charge for all of this to come to, for this all to work. So the expectation that that desire will come to fruition has a negative charge. And as you can imagine how the battery works, you have to have both of these in play for anything to happen, because otherwise, if you have a desire but you're doubting it, it's a split energy and you're going to be stagnant. You're not going to be making the progress that and moving in the direction that you want. So I think that that's important for people to understand.
Yeah, yeah. Catherine, thank you again for being here, and thank you again for supporting me. And hopefully, we'll connect again for, I guess, another Catherine 2.0 for season 4, let's say. But thank you again for supporting me.
Well, thank you. I'm really happy to support you. I'm very happy to be here, and thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you again.
Yeah.
So, guys, we spoke with Catherine today, and we talked about the basics of, well, psychology. We talked about the good energy, the bad energy. Well, we don't care about the bad energy. We only care about positive, don't we?
Yeah.
But the thing is, there's one thing that I did learn. Even if you do have bad energy, how the hell do you come out with the positive? And that's the skill. And I think that's the skill what Catherine is all talking about. I lost my dad in 2009. I was in a bad track. Went to a great track. I don't know how I got out of it. Maybe I'm still in it. I really don't know. You will have to find out when you go and connect with me. But there's one thing that I do know. Talking to all the people that I've interviewed, still today, they have given me great vibes and good vibes. And I think that's the great energy that I'm having on this show. And thanks to you and everyone, you have supported me really well. So as usual, as always, there is a quote of the day from Back to Basics, and hopefully Catherine will like my quote. The quote is, carving out an identity for yourself is important. So I'm trying to do that as well. That is the quote of the day. And I think I'm trying to carve my life the way I should be. And it's really, really rough because it is an everyday road, isn't it? Now, as usual, as always, what do we always say at the end of the episode? There's a quote on the bottom there. It says, everything in life goes back to basics. And that's what we did today, guys. Guys, take care. God bless. See you next time on Back. Hi, guys. Thank you again for tuning in to Back to Basics and listening to the excellent episode that we had today with our guest. With your love and support, we do need you to at least rate our show, review our show, because it does make us stronger day by day, week by week, as I usually say on my episodes. And there are 3 things in this episode that it makes a hit for me, which is the content, the guest, and definitely the host. So guys, take care, God bless, and remember, everything in life goes back to basics, and that's what we did today, guys. Guys, take care, God bless, and see you next time on Back to Basics.